Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta. Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta.
Welcome, everybody, to our recap of the Upper Bench's trip to Toronto. We had a blast. You guys make it home okay? They're nodding yes. I know Eero and I had a little interesting event in the Toronto airport. I ended up mistakenly leaving my bag in security. So I got to go through security twice. So they were, but you know what, the Canadians, they were super nice. Everybody was very accommodating. Everyone smiled and laughed as I went through the second time. They're like, oh, we remember you. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it was very good. I got home super late, but we were in Toronto for 4 or 5 days. We got out there last Thursday. Most of us got home Monday evening. But yeah, we saw a bunch of different saunas. We went and just had a blast. Risto, can you give us kind of a rundown? Where did we all go?
We've got quite the review for everybody. We use what I call the upside down sauna, or Sam, what you call the upside down sauna. So we'll get into that.
Yeah.
An electric sauna, and actually a couple interesting electric saunas on this trip. And then a banya with oodles of character. And then kind of the old school medieval banya in the strip mall. And then cottage or milky sauna out in the middle of nowhere. And then finally a secret sauna that we'll let you guys know a little bit about.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, Eero, you got in on Thursday, and I mean, we basically ripped you right out of the plane and threw you into a sauna. Our first stop was at our friend Markus's house, in his backyard sauna, and it was a sauna that he built himself. But he had the cold plunges. He had a nice electric stove. Eero, what did you think of that one?
It was a beautiful backyard sauna. It truly was. Everything was good about it. There was a nice table set up. It was a beautiful, nice setup. And like you said, there were good 2 cold plunges. It was truly a gorgeous evening, as all the others were as well.
Yeah, this is perfect. So you can see here, I mean, really just a simple sauna, square in shape, with a slanted roof. There's a changing room, pretty small changing room. I would say probably 4 or 5 feet wide, running the length of the sauna, and then a generous hot room next to that. But you can see there on the outside here, there's a little transom window, which was right above pretty much right above that stove and upper bench area. So really good control of the airflow. You could really have a lot of good fresh air in there, I thought.
I agree 100%. Yeah, an opening window that opens is always good. If you can have one, you should have one.
Absolutely. And then Risto, you're a cold plunge man. I mean, what are we looking at there?
Maybe 100 150 gallon stock tanks. And Markus had ice in those, so
yeah, you guys got me going into the water a little bit over the trip. And tell you what, I mean, yeah, I think I might have to get me a stock tank and finally get some cold water going. But definitely out of the norm a little bit. But great photo there of the crew. We were all piled in there and got a good photo.
Yeah, and that's the upside down sauna, which is kind of interesting. It was plenty hot in there. What did Markus say? 13 kilowatts in a fairly tight space. But then he's got the ceiling sloped the opposite way of what people usually say. And what was his reasoning for that?
Well, and really, I mean, so for those that are just listening, basically he's got his sauna stove on the end of the sauna where the roof is actually the highest, and then slopes away and then down. So that when that heat really builds and blasts, when he really starts throwing some water around, it kind of creates what he thought was almost like a little cushion for that air. It fills up that peak pocket, and then steam really bounces off and flows over to the other side. I think all of us had a good chance to kind of play some musical chairs in this one, where we got a chance to sit in different areas of the sauna, as steam was being thrown. And there was definitely some differences. You could feel it different, and it hit different or sooner or later, depending on where you were sitting in the sauna. But very, very good steam.
I agree 100%. So if you were sitting at like where the ceiling was the lowest, it really kicked your butt big time in a good way.
Yeah, it just gets, pretty much blasted kinda in your direction after filling up that top, which is probably pretty good because you're not getting, that really flash hot steam, right out of the gate. Maybe you're getting, a little bit more mixed with some fresh air from that window, and it was hot, plenty hot, but, you could definitely tone it down with that window.
And one thing for me, it was interesting. All of our experiences were very different. And this one was that intimate, tight backyard sauna. I said during that session, like if I just had a little microphone in there with that group and we were crammed in there, but just the banter and the sauna talk and everything was like perfect. That's the podcast I want.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. We didn't get much audio from inside the hot room. I don't know how much of it would be eligible for social media, but great conversation with some great people. We were all very like minded as far as enjoying a good steam. Taking multiple rounds, cooling off. Having a couple of beverages in between the rounds, and really enjoying the fellowship. It was a great time. But again, I'll be the first to admit, Marcus was able to steam me out of there pretty quick. After a long day of travel, 2 connecting flights, and I was probably drinking nothing but coffee and Red Bull all day. Jumping into a hot sauna, man, he was kicking my butt with that steam. So luckily there was that cold plunge afterwards. It was much needed.
Yeah. And then Marcus's mom had made some meat pies, some Finnish meat pies. And what are those called again in Finnish, Eero?
Lihapiirakka. Lihapiirakka, you can't say it, but I can say it. Yes, those were fantastic. Those were truly great lihapiirakkas. They were super good tasting.
Oh yeah, and she cranks them out. So yeah, Marcus' mom, she makes hundreds of these, sells them to local area Finnish bakeries and things like that. People come from all over the place, but yeah, it's a like almost like a donut bread dough, deep fried, but it has a meat filling. Usually it's like yeah, I think hers were meat, rice, onions. They were excellent with a little spicy mustard on them. Oh yeah, we were yeah, eating on those all trip. We we were carrying them around and wrap them up in tin foil that they keep. So they were a godsend. I love those things.
Yeah. And then anything else? And then I'll just move us along to the next one. Actually, the next thing we did was we got some Chinese noodles in Toronto. Well, I did skip. We'd met Yane
Yeah, Hetki sauna.
from Hetki Sauna. Yeah, the day before. And so we were able to catch him while he was in Toronto. He lives in Finland.
Yeah, it was a really brief meeting, but yeah, great guy. It's fun to see what him and Marcus are going to do with that sauna brand up there. They're very excited. But great food. We went to a great little place. Had just food all around. I can't imagine if anybody went hungry this trip, it was their own fault. That's for sure. Risto, what were we eating there?
Vietnamese. Yeah, Southeast Asian. It was Southeast Asian. So, and it was very good. And then, Sam, you'd made some bench towels for us for this trip.
Yeah, custom little towels. They were a nice little party favor. It was a cool little towel. You can use it as a bench seat. Keep your cheeks off the benches, as I like to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's Marcus with one. And then Alan showing up and meeting Marcus at his place. Those are the 2 local guys. And then in this picture here, this is Marcus's dad wrote a sauna book. So hopefully that gets published one of these days and goes far and wide.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff. And then the next day we got some Chinese noodles. So this is kind of the more Asian part of Toronto, this little neighborhood, and a tiny place called Soup and Casserole.
And we had kind of gone back and forth. We thought the name was maybe a loose translation. We didn't understand that casserole was actually referring to the dish, the actual ceramic dish that, the food came in, and they were calling that a casserole. So a little bit lost in translation, but we were excited to try something new, especially when you can't read the menu very well. It's probably going to be some good food.
I have to say, though, I have to add that I'm the old man in the group, and there's so much food. There was so much food. I could not, as you can tell, I could not finish that, and I could not eat anything anymore that day. But it was delicious.
Highly recommend this place. If you go there, get the sweet and sour broth. That was probably the best broth. Had a little peanutty stuff going on, and everything was good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm stuffing my face there with my Bucky shirt. Got to represent the South. So,
and then I took Eero and Sam to a place I've been a couple times before, Southwestern Bathhouse, which is very nondescript in an alleyway in a strip mall.
Yeah, and so many of these places that we went to were like this. They were just hidden gems. They were not well advertised. Not a lot of billboard or signage outside. So you really kind of had to know where you were going or know what you were looking for. If you saw a couple of guys speaking Ukrainian or Russian, and they've got a towel and they're walking in a certain direction in Toronto, probably going somewhere cool.
So there's Sam walking into this place. It's just a maroon awning down a brick alleyway.
Yeah, it looks like where shipping and receiving should have been for this place.
Yeah. And then this is so we'd met Todd before. Todd came out from Alaska, and so this was, I think, maybe his first public sauna banya type of place. And maybe the same for you too, Sam, right? This really like cultural sauna.
Yeah, of the authentic experience. Yeah, I mean, this was a great introduction to the Toronto kind of banya, bathhouse, sauna scene, because this is definitely a lot more robust of an experience than just going and spending 90 minutes in a hot room, that, and then back in and out. So this has got a little bit of everything for everybody. Southwestern had, a nice big banya, definitely, heated by a big masonry. I believe the one at Southwestern was gas fired, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. Yep. They had a big hot room. It wasn't super hot. But Markus made some steam for us, which kind of made it feel hotter. And then they have a cold plunge and a small sauna that was pretty spicy, and a steam room.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, the steam room was, pretty much kind of your almost like a Turkish style, with a domed roof, a lot of tile. Everything else was, very traditionally wood in the banya and sauna, a lot of just, nice beat up old, cedar, and it was great. Like Risto said, when we first got in, it might not have been the hottest. But you could definitely add water to that, to that big old oven and get her cooking if you really wanted to. But we have a little bit of a snack here up on the screen. Risto was feeling adventurous and got himself one of these. What am I looking at?
Yes, some sort of dried fish. It was about, I don't know, like 10 inches long, and there wasn't much meat on it. I asked them how I should eat it, and they said it's a lot of work.
So, yeah. Eero, I mean, what's your experience with this? Is this pretty common?
Well, it's common, but that's kind of different though, because it really looks like a dried fish. So it's like you have to keep sucking on that for a long time. But it's like, back home in Finland, smoked fish, that's fantastic. And I've tried to have a little fish at every time I go to sauna. So it is common, but I should have ordered the same, dish to understand more about what you got. That is different, and then there's kind of a fine line when it goes to like way Eastern European, so to speak, where you don't get you have a hard time to follow. But I hope you got, Risto, I hope you got some good taste out of that thing still.
A little bit. There was a little bit of fish jerky in there in amongst that work. But I will say Southwestern Bathhouse, they have amazing food. I tried their kombucha this time. I was blown away. And the cabbage rolls. I mean, it, everything was really, really good.
And the ambiance was great as well, right?
100%. I mean, I would have definitely felt welcome to bring almost anybody there, from newbies to experienced, users. I thought it would be a good, that'd be a good place if you know what you were doing and you're, introducing someone to sauna. Be a great place to bring them. I think there's a little bit of everything for everybody there.
Yeah, so that's just kind of a picture of the tea room there and us sitting around eating.
See, that's kind of the thing that we are lacking, even in Finland or the Northern Europe, and particularly here in the U.S., is that restaurant kind of a thing. The bathrobe restaurant experience that is almost completely lacking here, and it's fantastic. You get the best of both worlds. You have the good sauna, good banya, good heat, good contrast heat therapy, and then you have the food part. Really makes a difference.
Yeah. So that was a great experience, another social experience, but a little different type. And then the next morning, we went to Ambassador Club, which is like the OG sauna in Toronto. And that was yet another strip mall, this time with just a tiny red sign.
Yeah, you could never find these if you didn't know where you were going. You would never be able to find these just walking past. Even you could be using an ATM at your strip mall. That could be the ATM that you use all the time. You go up to it every Friday and get $20 out and do whatever. But you could be walking right next to this place and never really know it unless you knew you were going there for a sauna. So, very cool, very discreet. This one was authentic. This one was, if you wanted to paint an image of, the Eastern European bathhouse, where all the old guys are going and getting business done and just, relaxing and doing their thing, this is the one.
Yeah, and then there's also the picture with the owner, and then I took a few pictures inside of just kind of what the ambiance was like. So it I think everything was fairly clean. It was in a little bit of, like the repair level wasn't super high, but it was, super functional. The heat was good.
Remember how we felt like a little like a fish out of the water? Remember why?
Was it because we didn't speak Russian?
Well, that's also, but we were overdressed. We were way overdressed.
Oh yeah.
For this one, yeah, that was, we were the oddballs out. We threw our bathing suits on and jumped in there. And it was we were one of the first kind of crew in there. And then as more people showed up, yeah, we were overdressed.
So this one's birthday suits on the men's day and the women's day. So that was good. And I wish I could have stayed longer. One of the viewers of the show, Ryan, showed up. So that was cool to meet him. And he picked up a bar of the Kreamy Pine Tar Soap. So our sponsor. And we brought one all the way to Canada. So now he has a chance to use this Kreamy Pine Tar Soap with his sauna, which is a perfect pairing. So this is the ad for Kreamy Soap for this episode. And I told him it's good for getting stains out of your clothes too. Yeah, there, Eero's got one. So, and then we had to run off to a cottage sauna.
Absolutely. And by run off, it was, we weren't running anywhere. We were hiking. This was off the beaten trail. As you can see up here on the screen now, we actually had to traverse this little river to get out there. This was out deep in basically some Canadian land north of Toronto. And yep, you'll see Markus there driving a little 8-wheeled amphibious vehicle called the Argo, a vehicle made in Canada. But yeah, it was the way, pretty much the best and most efficient way to get, to his land. So we piled into this thing and we hit it. And it was a lot of fun. We were about 2 hours north, give or take, of Toronto, up there on a lake, and it was great.
This is kind of our bonus one outside of the Toronto area. The cottage sauna, or as they say in Finnish, Eero, is it mökki?
Mökki, yes, mökki. Yeah, summer cottage is mökki.
Yeah, so there's Markus's off the grid summer cottage.
What a nice place! What a nice, beautiful lake.
Yeah, and a beautiful view, very secluded. he said only like one or two other houses, on the lake, in his area. Some guys come in, via, bush plane. So it is a little bit off the beaten path, but gorgeous views. You can see there, I'm bundled up. You got a southern boy up there in Canada. I was cold. Yeah, my blood's thinned out a little bit since living down here, but I had a blast. You can't beat that view, and I'm very cool, very remote, but it doesn't get more authentic than this sauna here as far as home cottage saunas. You'll see Markus here stoking the fire from the backside. And this was an old family sauna that I believe his father or grandfather had built.
Yeah, his father, and the stove, the design for the stove, the hot pert, which definitely kicked out plenty of heat and steam.
100%.
It was nice because, it's an off the grid cottage. So I've got a few pictures here of doing dishes in the sauna. So the sauna was multifunctional. You could cook with it, you could bathe with it, you could wash your dishes in there.
Yeah, and we always said, if you've got a wood burning sauna, you've got utility, you've got hot water, you've got cooking apparatus. We made our baked potatoes in the ashes of the sauna stove, and it was amazing. There's a cool little 360, very very cool, that you could capture that whole inside there.
Yeah, so we can see a few photos there, and we can post a few photos on social media. There's the hot pert door. And then we got Eero here cooking up some food for dinner and cigars.
Oh, look at that. That's a nice picture. Yeah.
Very fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I mean, with Markus used to work in the cigar business, so he made sure we were smoking on the good stuff.
There's a lot of steam in sauna. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to hang all weekend, but then I had something on my list the next morning. I was like, we have to cold plunge.
Yep.
No, there you go.
So yeah, we traipsed out there. That was early. What was that? Sunday morning. No better way to start your day. I can think of a few, but these guys convinced me that it's fun. This is something that Risto dragged us out there, and I'm glad he did. So definitely a lot of fun.
We went into that lake. I went 3 times into that lake, like all in. So that's part of the sauna bathing process. So that, like the previous night, so I chickened out that morning. I didn't go all the way like Risto did, but during the sauna sessions, I went all in, and that is a part of the contrast heat therapy. So that's very important for you.
It is invigorating.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we drove back Sunday. We visited what I'll call the secret sauna. It's another one in the Toronto area, another strip mall. And we had the address, and then this was the address, Unit 9, but we couldn't find it. We looked everywhere.
Yeah, so this one, we didn't realize that this particular strip mall kind of had 2 levels to it. The backside was actually lower and faced the other direction. So we found this dirty old staircase full of leaves, and we're traipsing down there. We're like, it's got to be down there somewhere. And it, sure enough, we turned the corner and we start seeing ladles and buckets on the window. So we knew we were in the right spot. And then, of course, some fish on the counter. So we really knew we were in the right spot.
Yeah, and this one was kind of the opposite of Ambassador. It's newer and just like pristinely clean. You could lick the corners there if you wanted to.
Yeah, it was definitely more of a new age, modern feel to it. The amenities were very, very nice. Great lounge area with nice padded chairs. They gave you plenty of towels and sheets to make sure that you were kind of just staying clean and on top of things. And a great staff, knowledgeable, willing to answer any questions that we had. So that was it was great.
Yeah. So here's a few pictures from their hot room. They had 2 hot rooms. I think that's Markus there, Sam, and Todd. I had opened the door to that hot room, and Todd was in there just by himself and just baking away. Man, he was hitting that, and it was pretty spicy in there. It was robust, and I was like, oh, stay right there. I got to get a shot.
Oh, absolutely. And then, yeah, everybody had to run. We definitely wanted one of those photos too. I thought it was such an iconic, photo, being up on that upper bench and just, you can feel it. You can feel that photo. I love it.
So this was the one that we were talking about. This is the one of electricity. And I asked the dude, how long does it take to heat up the hot room? And he goes like, it takes 2 days to get it up to the heat.
2 days. Oh yeah, they're not shutting it off very frequently. So we found out that this was actually a very large, again, brick, masonry heater, banya heater with what was it, 4,000 pounds of rocks?
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking about some serious mass here. But we did find out it was powered actually electrically. So there was over 75 kilowatts. I think it was 78 in total kilowatt juice being pumped in there. And they said that they turned it on at night because the power rates were better on the overnight than during business hours. So they really try to superheat it at night and then ride it out during the day when prices go up a little bit during peak usage.
They were running it during the day, but they do turn it up at night. Because it does, like Eero said, it takes 2 days to heat all of that 2,000 pounds of soapstone.
And just amazing. And then when you did throw water, either, right down the chute or on top, I mean, this was a complete steam. There was no dripping water anywhere. This was turning into steam real fast, but a very, very smooth heat. It wasn't too sharp. With the size of a room like that, it would be probably a little difficult to get really sharp steam. But we were throwing plenty of water around, getting it hot and spicy in there, but it never really got sharp. It was always pretty tolerable as far as the quality of steam.
Was this the one that was like kicking butts when you threw water inside the heater? Remember that? Like it had that blasting going on.
Oh yeah, the little dragon's breath.
Yeah.
Well, and it sounded like a big drum.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we used the oak branches. What'd you think of that?
I enjoyed it. I had seen a few people, use them over the course of the trip, and really, banging those branches on on your back and legs, loosens you up. It really gets the blood flowing, and it feels kind of good in a massage therapeutic kind of way. But all the way from Anchorage, Alaska, we've got Todd joining us. Todd, what is it, like lunchtime there?
Yep, we are coming out at lunchtime, and second half of the workday coming up. Truthfully.
Oh, thanks for joining us, man, and thank you for joining us up in Toronto. It was a blast meeting you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a fantastic experience. Learned a ton, and had a great time.
Yeah, and so Todd, you had gone to a banya that we didn't get a chance to go to. Banya, what was it called? Banya number 2?
Banya number 2. Yeah, it's a sister banya to southwestern banya that we visited. I guess that would be our second day, or our second steam, and it was quite nice, quite enjoyable. I was there by myself and the other patrons, but again, a very clean banya and bathhouse. Very nice.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's awesome. It was very cool. What did you think? I mean, this was a first couple public, saunas for you. Was there anything that really kind of stuck out? Like, oh wow, this is a thing.
I was surprised that they reside in Strupmont. I mean, it was I had no clue what to expect, but it was quite exciting and pleasurable.
Awesome, Markus. We've got you here. Can you hear us?
I'm shaking.
Hey, Markus, thanks for joining us. Looks like you're, what is it, already pitch black up there?
Yeah, it's pretty dark already here, and especially here in the sauna, it's even darker.
Well, no better place to take a call. Joining us, man.
It's the same old haunt from a week ago.
Awesome. No, yeah, we're just catching up with Todd here, going over the trip. Again, from all of us, we want to thank you. I mean, you were a great host. You showed us a great time. And even, I mean, you showed us things that, I wasn't even prepared for my wildest expectations. So you blew it out of the water, man. Thank you.
Right on. I dig that. Appreciate that very much. I had just as much fun as you guys did. Very memorable weekend, and glad that it lived up to your expectations.
Absolutely.
Well, you made me swim in a early November, lake. That's something.
Yep. That's awesome. It's the best part about November cottaging is that you got the lake to yourself.
There you go.
Or my daughters will be in the lake in about an hour's time.
Perfect.
So Sam, Eero, Todd, what was your favorite of the strip mall banyas?
It is almost impossible to answer, though. I really like the kind of the restaurant bar scene at the Southwestern.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of the experience, but the hot room thing, it's so difficult to separate those.
Yeah, if I could take the hot room from Ambassador, the kind of the cold plunge and relaxation area of our secret sauna, and then the bar food area of Southwestern, I think you might have probably the peak combination there.
Yeah. And to be fair, I would revisit any of those banyas again without hesitation.
100% agree. I mean, they all have something to offer. There's no reason not to go to any one of them. I couldn't find a reason to say no, don't go to that one. It's not any good. It's always going to be an experience if you've never been there. But none of them were, it had anything glaring where I would say no, don't go there. That's not a good representation. Public sauna or bot. Hey, we've got one more addition to the crew here.
Good to see you again. Ryan joined us at Ambassador Club.
Yeah, Ambassadors Club. Yeah, it was nice there, right?
I wish I could have spent more time. I wish our schedule allowed that. I loved the ambiance there.
Did you guys end up staying for the food?
We stayed till 11:30, and then I had to go. But
Time works in a different domain when you're at the Ambassador Club.
yeah,
I believe that. Yeah, those guys didn't have a care in the world.
You're correct.
Yeah, I guess so. For our listeners, I guess the story was, and maybe Todd and Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a lady that just makes food and brings it in sometime in the middle of the day.
yeah, at noon I think, because they close at 11, I think. So it's kind of, I think most people there, they do the sauna in the morning for a few hours, and then they eat.
I observed a number of the patrons had brought in their own food, their own snacks. And so after their steam and cool down session, they will join that quite nicely.
Yeah, there was a fridge there with beer in it.
Yeah.
I was really tempted to just take one, but
Yeah, years ago they used to have a kitchen and they had the best pickled herring they used to sell there, but I guess they don't have that offering anymore.
That's interesting.
you have been there a few times.
Yeah, I've been there a number of times over the last couple decades. I haven't been there for a number of years, but used to go there regularly.
You guys didn't meet. Markus is local to Toronto.
Okay, cool. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm also local.
Right on.
So, Markus, that pickled herring thing, is that like the Northern European kind of pickled herring, or are we talking about the Eastern European type of pickled herring?
It was more of the Eastern European type. It was kind of, really sort of almost salty and sweet and big chunks of fish. They'd usually offer it after you're in between rounds with a little schnapps on the side. So you'd have a little pickled herring and ice cold vodka.
Well, now you're talking. Yeah. I was so excited in this one place where they had kvass, that classic drink, and that goes well with that shot of vodka.
Well, you should expound on that, Eero, because you had spoken about that kvass earlier in the weekend. I didn't know what you're talking about. I'm not sure if Risto or Sam or aware of it either. But then all of a sudden, one of the guys thought on the chalkboard there, and I think it was who ordered it. Risto ordered it first. So yeah, it was my first time trying that, and I ordered a pint of it as well. Really delicious stuff.
Yeah, no, I didn't know about it, about the whole thing either. But this goes back, very long time. So when I was in the army, it was in 1979, we had this kitchen dish or the drink that was like beer with no alcohol. What was
It's
the
a homebrew kind of thing. Yeah.
kind of a homebrew? Yeah, and it was awesome. So turn on the clock like I don't know 40 years, how many 50 years almost. And I was with Brian McWilliams, who's a guy who's a good friend of ours. He's written a great book about Banya in Russia. So I'm with him at the Wall Street Baths, and I was like doing something stupid, like ordering almost like a Coke, and he goes like, no, 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 you need to have a kvass, and so I did, and it was a revelation kind of a thing, and I've been trying to find ones ever since, because it's very close to the one that I had in the army back in the day. So it's basically the same culture, same history. And it's kind of an excuse to have also kind of a shot of vodka because they go so well together. But
Fantastic pairing.
yeah,
Yeah, it was like a fermented bread drink, and it was like a darker bread. And for me, it tasted like a light root beer. It was really nice.
yes,
Sauna.
exactly. But that's not our culture. That's not the Finnish culture, but it's the Eastern European culture. But it's a good culture. It's a good drink.
I think we could use a little more of this cross-cultural contamination.
Oh, here. Yeah, I mean that I wouldn't have known, what city I was in, what town I was in if you would have just plopped me down in one of those, Southwestern or either any one of them, I would have known what city I was in or what country I was in, for crying out loud. They were a melting pot. I heard at least 4 or 5 different languages being spoken at any given time. And I mean, you want to talk about a great plethora of food options from all over Eastern Europe, and Scandinavia. I don't think any of it was very, just, hey, it had to be, from this one specific tiny little region. I think it was pretty broad all across the board when it came to who they were serving.
Yeah. We'll kind of go around with maybe final thoughts. Mine would be, I just recommend to all of our listeners going up to Toronto. You can have a variety of experiences, a really nice variety. None of the banyas or saunas that we hit were alike. So there's ones that are like super clean and like kind of on the rails, like our secret sauna or secret banya. I would recommend that for newbies, but it had really solid heat, or just like a robust ambiance with good food, or that really gritty, real place that the Ambassador Club was. And I would go back up and hit them all again. It was wonderful.
Oh, here.
There seems I obviously I speak to a lot of people almost on a daily basis, and there's a lot of tourism now happening in Finland. People are traveling to Finland because of the saunas, and I have a feeling that Markus is like Toronto. If you guys get a lively like mökki, cottage, sauna scene going, people will come in few quantities to enjoy the sauna once this word spread around. What it's about.
Yeah, I'll jump in for a minute. Just to continue plugging our fair city. Risto came up with this Toronto sauna menu. I think you had 16 or 17 different options on it. We hit up a handful of them, and we didn't even touch the sort of modern sauna interpretation of the, whether it's a Nordic spa or Aufguss, kind of a towel waving performance saunas. And so there's a number of each of those examples, both on the spa end, which are large outdoor spas. There's a number of these performance sauna type modern interpretations of urban saunas, and a host of other banyas we didn't go to. Korean saunas, again, to use the word sauna quite loosely. But the bathing culture is really booming in Toronto. And so to all of your listeners, should any of you want to, I mean, I imagine we're within a day's drive of 50 million Americans. And so at the very least, and an easy hop on one of our puddle jumpers. So happy to host any groups that want to come up here. Just get my contact through one of the fellas, and happy to share our mutual love of good heat up here.
Hey, Marcus, I'll have to have you over to my sauna one day, and you'll have to have me over to yours.
Yeah,
Indeed, be my pleasure for sure.
yeah, 2 good electric builds, and then Todd's got a build in his future, so we'll be following along with that for sure.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I definitely would love to get to Alaska. I mean, and you don't have to pull my arm to get me to go pretty much anywhere with a good sauna. So, I'm looking forward to it, guys. Marcus, Ryan, you guys, being up there in the Toronto area, this kind of question is for either one of you guys. Where do you see the next kind of evolution of public, banya and sauna up there? We got a good representation of what the current scene is, but how do you see that changing? Do you think it's going to become more mod like some of these other ships and things like that, or do you think some of those old roots will win out?
I think the question's mostly answered. If you look at the revenue of other ship, I mean, they're doing really, really well. So I think to answer your question more directly, like I think that model is the way to go because it caters to more people. It's kind of like a Russian banya sauna is like very specific type of person, right? But then I look at the place that I've been to a number of times called Alter, and their sauna actually is exceptional. And I think you guys know the guy that designed it. I don't remember who you said it was. Was it Marcus? Oh, okay, yeah. So, I wasn't sure if it was you or not.
I was waiting for Marcus to kind of go like this.
Yeah. That place. I mean, they really like the ventilation is perfect there, and I told him that several times. I'm like, you guys like did a fantastic job, and so like I think a place like that it caters to just a wide range of people, and I think they still keep the like tradition of sauna, alive, right? Like it's kind of just they try and tell you to like kind of take breaks, and there's no time limit there, right? Like other ship, you're in and out in 60 minutes. Like I've only been there once, honestly, but it wasn't my thing, so I never went back. But Alter's like you go in, right? You can stay as long as you want. There's no time limits. It's relaxed. It's like they're trying to keep like the real sauna tradition alive. And then on the other spectrum, I think like the places, like real like just kind of infrared or I don't think those places will kind of do as well. But I think the model that Alter has is the one that I personally like the best. But in terms of who's going to win out in the end, like the biggest success story,
Oh no, there's only winners with sauna.
No, but that was the point I tried to make before. It's the thing that this cottage sauna culture, as it has taken off here there in Finland, will take off in Canada, I believe as well. So it doesn't have to be a whatever.
Yeah, it's just that you both make good points. You're starting to see a sprinkling of more cottage saunas as more sauna suppliers come online. I mean, there's a wide range of options available now, and they're all quite new. So as they start propagating, you'll see more cottage saunas. You'll certainly see more of the other ship style or Alter is kind of in the same sphere in terms of one large sauna with a cold area and a lounge area. I think, and then there's the Ontario's first lakeside, or at least the Toronto region's first lakeside sauna spa is opening up this 2025, which will be on Lake Ontario. And then we also have the Therme group out of, I guess, Austria or Germany, where they have the Therme Erding. They have these monster spas that also include saunas. I believe North America's first iteration of that is coming to Toronto in 2 years. So I think that there's going to be a number of different iterations of sauna coming, continuing to evolve. To Ryan's point, the current hot thing is this social bathhouse, and that's okay because what it does is it introduces hundreds of people to sauna every day. They have 300 covers, 300 butts coming in through the door a day, and many of those graduates, as I'll use that term, graduate into more of an authentic traditional sauna scene or a sauna experience, whether it be discovering the local banya in their neighborhood or pursuing their own build. So these modern large scale urban bathhouses or social bathhouses are fine to have because for the most part they observe some of the principles of good sauna. And I think what's missing though is a sauna like altar which has great heat, great ventilation, but also then has that culinary aspect which you can wander across the hall in your bathrobe and order a cold beverage and a meal, which has not been brought to the table yet in these recent interpretations. That to me would be the sort of the pièce de résistance, on the sauna side in Toronto's future. So, but to answer your question in short, uh, a little bit of everything, I think we'll still continue to see that evolve.
Yeah, the steam menu in Toronto is broad, depending on how adventurous you want to get.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny how it's sort of happened to take off in our city, and you chose Toronto amongst all the cities in North America, and perhaps for good reason. And I wonder what kind of a copycat scene there's going to be like. Other ships already moved into New York, and New York has its own bathing culture, and because all of these large cities across North America, especially in the U.S., they have the cultural diversity to have captive audiences for a similar type of a scene. I'm not sure what the catalyst is going to be, but I think 5 years from now we're going to see thriving, robust public bathhouse scenes come. Be the part of everyday life in these big cities, like it was back in the olden days.
Bathhouses are definitely coming back. There's no question about it. But again, the question is like, how is the sauna going to do in that equation?
To really follow on that, Eero, there's a big difference between going somewhere public, paying money and hanging out with all your friends and abiding by someone else's rules compared to building your own private sauna in your backyard and creating your own traditions and practices. There's always going to be a need for both. Yeah, I would love it if we had a fun public banya scene here, where I live. Luckily, I have my own, but I would still use a public banya or public sauna if it was available to me. I think that would be a lot of fun to go meet, some people, out and about, and have a good time, especially if you don't want to host. Not everybody wants to sweep and put away all their crap every time. They just want to have a sauna. So yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of an aspect there of going out and not having to worry about heating up your sauna too. I know if it's cold and rainy, sometimes I don't want to go outside and split wood and get it going. And I wish I could just drive 5 minutes down the road and hop right in a nice warm, sauna that's ready to go with a lot of friendly, fun people in it already. So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, and on the airport ride, we were talking about where's the next place, So, yeah, Toronto again, New York City, Japan, the UP.
I've had back-to-back meetings the whole day today. They've all been about sauna. And the social aspect of sauna is something that I always talk to all people about. So all these banyas, all these saunas, whatever spas, bathhouses, it's the social aspect. It's so important to the whole thing. And with this health craze kind of what's going on, it's lost part of that social.
Let's wrap it up, gentlemen. I've got some packing to do on my side. So.
Yeah, Risto, where are you headed off to? You're traveling, Eero's traveling. Where are you guys going?
Yeah, I'm going to Cambodia, so that's where Julie's from, or her family. She's not, sure. We'll see if I can find a sauna there.
I'm hoping you can, because I think that would be a hidden gem.
Well, you haven't planned well, because I'm going to Finland, and at my residential building, there's a sauna on Sunday. So I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll be there on Sunday, just ready for the sauna. I'm going to meet my neighbors. We're they're talking about the world politics.
Oh,
in the nude.
As it should be. If you're going to talk politics, that should be a rule. You got to be naked.
That's by the way, that's a good point. That is a good point. I actually talked about that also today. But anyway, so Cambodia, that's fantastic. Yes, I will be back for Thanksgiving, so it's going to be a good combo.
Awesome. So yeah, guys, thank you all for coming online here and hearing about our trip to Toronto. If you've got any other questions, or if you want some tips, or if you want to get in touch with the guys that are up there, maybe go hit up a public sauna with them. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with them. And again, thank you guys. This was a great experience all around. I think there's going to be much more sauna travel coming up in the future here for the Upper Bench.
Yeah, and we'll reach out to us, send us a private message, and we'll tell you where the secret sauna is.
The secret sauna, they did not want us particularly dropping their name and being overrun with Upper Bench fans, because apparently we have crazy reach, and we're gonna make sure that we pack them out. But if you do want to go there, we will be happy to tell you how to get to the secret sauna. And we promise it's not so.
And Ryan, it was great to get to meet you. Thank you for coming. And besides Ryan, all things sauna, you guys is Markus Raddy in Toronto. So be in touch with Markus, whatever you need, sauna wise. You were a great hello out. We are very grateful.
Yeah, I'll definitely send a note to Markus. Thanks a lot, guys.
But please do, and gentlemen, and we're honored that you chose Toronto, and we're glad that we were able to play a small role in your trip. Had a blast, guys. Look forward to seeing you on the Sauna Trail. Plug to Risto's other podcast, the Sauna Trail. Check it out.
Absolutely. You guys have a good one. Yeah, we'll see you on the next one.